Take a moment and close your eyes. Envision your pet or favorite animal. It can even be your significant other or family member. How does this make you feel? Take another moment to evaluate your emotions. Did your breathing or heart rate slow down? You might be wondering, how could this be? Now imagine if you couldn't feel any emotion or feedback from thinking about or seeing your loved ones. Would your world look different? How would your day-to-day life change?
So what is oxytocin, and what does it do? Oxytocin is an inactive polypeptide and is a hormone that is secreted into the bloodstream. Scientists discovered oxytocin first in moles in understanding this hormone. They found that oxytocin acts as a love-cuddle hormone and is shown to have high levels in individuals that undergo labor, breastfeeding, sex, and lactation, acting in a positive feedback that occurs in a neuroendocrine system. This results in bonding with offspring and provides the body a natural painkiller. There have also been studies in which oxytocin has been linked to stress responses and has been seen applied in different areas of the brain via the nervous system. These difference in stimuli response may vary by subjects, species, stressful stimuli, and applied in experimental conditions. In general, oxytocin can play a role in establishing complex social behaviors or coordinating behaviors related to reproduction, partner choice, childcare, or living in communities. Oxytocin plays a role in parent-child relationships, romantic feelings of love and trust, empathy, and subsequently generosity towards strangers. So where does oxytocin originate, and how does it work? Oxytocin is found in the hypothalamus and produced by the magnocellular nuclei. Once made, oxytocin is stored and secreted by the posterior pituitary, having a big neuromodulatory role in the central nervous system and tissues. From a structural point of view, oxytocin is a polypeptide containing 9 amino acids, which is synthesized as an inactive precursor pro-oxyphysine. It consists of a longer sequence of amino acids which are cleaved into oxytocin and neurophysin. The role of neurophysin is to transport and store oxytocin in specific vesicles from where it is released in the systemic circulation when certain specific nerve impulses are triggered. An example would be when nerves are triggered is by the stretching of the uterus due to childbirth. Oxytocin is then released from the pituitary and binds to oxytocin receptors to then be exported into the bloodstream and go to target areas such as the uterus, testes, the brain, and mammalian glands. Oxytocin binds to muscles and results in a positive feedback, alleviating physical pain and encouraging the muscles to further contract and thus increase more oxytocin output. This is why when oxytocin is released, you physically feel more at ease and overall happy. This is how oxytocin affects target areas in a neuroendocrine fashion. How about the brain? We know oxytocin modulates stress, but how? Oxytocin can also be released by dendrites and cell bodies of the paraventricular and supraoptic nucleus, where oxytocin then reaches the hypothalamus. At this level, there are many oxytocin receptors that are in direct relation to the limbic regions in the brainstem. There have actually been studies found where there is oxytocin present in the amygdala, which is a region associated with stressful situations. Oxytocin is also released under neural impulses that direct the oxytocin to be released from vesicles. This is achieved by the neuron being triggered by calcium levels in the cell in relation to the calcium levels outside of the cell.
Oxytocin is most known for bringing up mood and making people happy. What happens when you don't have a normal oxytocin level? Well, since this hormone is known for its joyous effects, let's talk about the other side of that. Depression is a well-known psychological disorder that many people suffer from. Oxytocin's role in this is seen as positive, but most people with depression will typically have oxytocin imbalances. Levels of depression are correlated to different levels of oxytocin. Psychological disorders like this and oxytocin imbalances can lead to stress eating. Oxytocin doesn't solely affect food intake, it affects the body's metabolism as well. In some studies, oxytocin has been seen to play a role in interaction between stress and metabolic homeostasis. In response to stressful stimuli, oxytocin neurons activate and promote the release of oxytocin. This will then regulate the stress response and facilitate the adaptation to stress. Overall, oxytocin plays a role in environment-dependent stress responses.
Interestingly enough, some studies claim that oxytocin is associated with offspring protection. A research team from Portugal conditioned a group of mother rats in the absence of their pups by associating a peppermint scent with an electric shock. After training, these female rats perceived the peppermint odor as a threat and froze accordingly. The team claimed that in the presence of the pups, the mothers didn't freeze as they had when they were alone. Instead, the mothers tried to protect their offspring by attacking the tube where the odor originated. However, when the scientists blocked oxytocin activity in the mother's amygdala, the mothers froze as if they were alone. The study asserts that oxytocin plays a dominant role when it comes to bonding and maternal protection. Does this mean that animals without oxytocin are incapable of bonding? Not quite. Another research team identified a hormone homologous to oxytocin secreted around the preoptic area of fish called isotocin. Fish injected with excess isotocin were observed to be more receptive to social information, and some even behaved more aggressively towards rival fish. The study attributes to the notion that some organisms have their own version of oxytocin. For reptiles, it's mesotocin, and for some insects, it's inotocin.
The study shows a significant relation of increase in oxytocin between the interaction of a human petting a dog. The person was instructed to pet the dog for 5 to 24 minutes, which resulted in a significant increase of plasma oxytocin. It was found that there was a stronger correlation between the two if there was a previous relationship or some sort of emotional connection. Oxytocin levels do increase when petting dogs, but having a pre-existing relationship with the animal showed a more significant increase in oxytocin compared to petting an unfamiliar dog. The overall consensus of the study showed that the interaction between the two had an increase in oxytocin levels in both humans and dogs due to the pet ownership creating long-lasting effects and repeated exposure.
That being said, alcohol has been known to have sex-dependent effects on bond formation when it comes to prairie voles. Researchers formed two groups of prairie voles, one drinking water and the other drinking ethanol. Male prairie voles are known to be more monogamous and mate with their partner compared to their female counterparts. However, the group that drank the ethanol displayed opposite results, the females being more attached to their partners and the males mating more with strangers. Prairie voles weren't the only ones, however. Any social monogamous species that drank alcohol had their neuropeptide systems affected one way or another.
Oxytocin plays a huge role in many aspects of our day-to-day lives, from bonding with our loved ones and strangers to sending neurohormonal messages to different parts of our bodies. As you watch in our video, oxytocin shows up differently in many animals such as the prairie vole's monogamous situation, fish's ability to perceive social information, rats using maternal protection for their pups, and dogs with their humans. Now we beg the question, could we really live without oxytocin? After viewing all the wonderful information about oxytocin and its effects on the body, what do you think?